Hi, this is Jazz Obrecht, and welcome to my Talking Guitar podcast with Neil Young. While many of his peers from the 1960s have faded into music history or play the oldies circuit, Neil Young continues to push the boundaries of rock guitar. Now in his 70s, he still conjures fire and brimstone worthy of players old enough to be his grandchildren. Few players have explored feedback and distortion so deeply. Fewer still have had as profound an impact on young players. For instance, on his landmark 1969 solo album, Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, Neil showed a generation mystified by Jimi Hendrix that guitars could keep it simple and still kick ass. When I was coming up, many starting guitarists strummed their first chords to Down by the River and copped their first solos from Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young's Ohio. Neil has also recorded highly influential acoustic music, as heard on Harvest and other albums. Never content to rest on his laurels, he's made commercially risky forays into unexpected territory, taking right turns into vocoders, synthesizers, country music, early rock and roll, and horn-driven arrangements. In the process, Neil has emerged as one of rock's preeminent songwriters, with a catalog of songs comparable to those of Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, and Hank Williams. At the time of our interview, Neil had just completed a tour with Sonic Youth and was doing publicity for his Arc and Weld concert CDs. We met for lunch on November 11th, 1991, at a restaurant near Neil's ranch in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Elliot Roberts, Neil's longtime manager, and a publicist for Reprise Records, sat at a nearby table and occasionally chimed in during our conversation. Throughout our time together, I found Neil to be relaxed, thoughtful, funny, and forthcoming. I hope you enjoy the interview.
Are you hard on guitars per se?
No. No. I don't have any guitars that are broken because of me playing them.
Yeah. You want
I
to
treat them pretty gently, actually. I don't think I have to break the guitar to get a violent sound out of it.
Do you have a favorite guitar, one that you've written a lot of stuff on?
Not really. I have, I got usually cheap guitars that I buy that are no good are the ones that I write on. I got an Epiphone in New Zealand. It was like a Japanese Epiphone or something. It was terrible. But
Is it
it's got a particular sound to it, yeah. And it's not a good sound, but it is that sound. and it's unique, you know. So I always like to get a new guitar or a new old guitar, because I know if I find a guitar that I like, somebody gives me a guitar, that I'm going to get a song or two out of it, because every guitar comes to you with all this information, all this feelings and everything from everybody else who's had it. So then something always comes out of it. The way it sounds makes you play certain chords that you wouldn't, because you've never had that guitar. So then you're into another thing, and if you're lucky, you get a song out of it.
Is the Epiphone you're talking about like a round hole acoustic?
Yeah, just a cheap one.
You keep that in where you do your writing then?
So I keep it actually probably lying on the floor in my bedroom. It's a kind of thing that the guitar is really, it's a terrible guitar. The action sucks. Neck's all pain. But I like, and it doesn't stay in tune. You have to keep tuning it all the time.
Right.
But I write a lot on it.
That's funny. What songs have you written on it?
Several of the songs of American Dream I wrote on it. And I've written a few, I don't know which ones. A few unreleased songs I've written. Might have written Fucking Up on it. I wrote a lot of, I can't remember, but I do write a lot on it. And then I got good guitars too, and they're fun too. Generally fun to record with. and ride on. I got a lot of guitars.
Do you?
A whole bunch of them. A lot of electrics, a lot of acoustics, a lot of Martins and Gretschens, Explorers, Flying V's, White Dolphins.
Wow.
Stuff. And Larry has more than I have. Larry's got really a lot.
Maybe I should talk to him about a
Oh, you should.
sidebar on your guitars.
Oh yeah,
You know,
on my amplifier.
them all, catalog them all.
My amplifier is an interesting world unto itself.
you said that singular. That's like one amp. That,
Well, the amplifier, it's like a conglomerate. It has several different wings, controls, you know. But I got a thing on my amp. It's like no one else has this. It's unique unto itself, completely original. I'm very happy with it. So it sits on top of my Fender Deluxe, which is the brain of the whole thing. Or the Fender Deluxe is where the sound starts from. It goes through that preamp. That's where everything emanates. Comes out.
Yeah.
So I plug into that. But on top of the Deluxe, coming down on top of all of the controls are machined, power-driven potentiometers. And they come right down onto the pole and they're locked in. And then there's digital controls for those where you turn them and preset them in different places. And then that's all programmable into 4 different presets. Each preset has a button. On a Fender Deluxe, there's a tone and 2 volumes. The volume on the channel you're not using will affect the volume of the channel you are using, even though you're not plugged into it. The drain on the power amp. So there's all these different settings that I have for different sounds. And I preset them all by turning the digital controls, and they turn the motors, and the motor turns the real knob, and the real knob changes. And then I lock that preset number, and everything's locked in. And then when I assign it a button, I hit that button, all the knobs turn on the amp and go to that. I have 4 sets of those.
wow.
So there's nothing, there's no interruption of the sound. There's no, I don't have to put my guitar sound through something to get, there's no volume pedal loss. There's no split signal loss in the original sound.
Where did you get this thing?
I had it made. I got an engineering company to build it for me.
That's a new one.
Yeah, Larry could show it to you, or, you know, take a picture of it or something.
That'd be great.
And the whole thing is, it's very deep. And all my effects, I have an effects rack, but it's not a rack, it's a box full of effects because they're all so old. Echoplex, analog delay, Mutron octave divider. Are you into these things or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Okay. You know, several, a Boss flanger from 1969 or something, you know, completely flanger. It's this long, big purple thing, you know, with all the knobs.
Right, I've seen those.
So I have those. Those are all connected through these hard switches that are all platinum. So there's or precious metal contacts from NASA quality contacts that I use with relays to grow them, and I have routing that goes around the whole thing. If I go into this, my big red switch that I have about the size of this table, things on it that I can jump on. Those little Boss things, I can't use those. But I get too into it. I'm like, I get way too into it. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, you see the little Boss thing, you know, pieces of it all over the floor, wires hanging up. What was this guy's name? Coke Johnson, this producer, worked with Prince. You know, I was working with him on an album 3 or 4 years ago, and he put all this stuff out for me and said, try this. You know, this is how he got his guitar sound. I said, great, what's this and that? And he said, great, fine. So I started playing live and everything, and I jumped on it. It broke like in all these pieces.
This was Prince's?
No, not Prince's. He belonged to Coke, but he used to work for Prince, or still does.
That's
probably.
funny. I was wondering if new technology had impacted you much, or if you could have done Weld with equipment you had, you know, back in the 60s.
Well, I couldn't have done Weld without the wizard that I got on top that turns all the knobs on the amp. That's how I get the guitar sounds to change subtly. I mean, you can turn one knob, 2 turns, it goes up to 12. The deluxe goes up to 12, by the way, not 11, 12.
Whoa.
Yeah, awesome.
Everyone's
But
got a
anyway,
bow with
you
that.
can back it down to a 10.5 from 12, and all of a sudden it's chunky sounding on the attack. With everything floored, you
Right.
back down the volume 1.5 to 10.5 instead of 12, and the chunk comes back. If you have it up in 12, then it just saturates completely and opens up after the attack. But if you back it down, it'll catch the attack. So, just changing that one thing that much. So I got one button for one and one for the other, 2 other settings. So having that ability to change the treble, back the treble down here and there, and change and bring up the channel I'm not even using, so the overload thing will come in from turning up the other channel. Those things are all things that I couldn't have done. So but that's where technology is, but not in the sound, only in the control of the sound.
What's the source of your feedback mostly? Is it amp game, devices?
Volume. There is no amp gain. Not use the amp gain. We don't use a distorted effect at all. Just the Fender Deluxe.
Wow. You take that thing on the road with you?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I couldn't go without it.
Wow.
Wouldn't be able to go.
Does that amp go way back in your career?
Back to 1967.
Wow. Do you have spares?
There is no spare. I got 10 spares, but none of them sound like it. There's nothing like it. They're all different. All Fender amps are different, the old ones. Because of the way they were made, and the fact different metals, different amounts of metal and windings, all these things. The transformers are all different powers.
Yeah.
Everything used to be loose. The specifications were within a certain thing. So every combination of specs was different. They were within specs, but still a combination. One thing affects another, and it's not. They're all different. So every amp is completely. But for some reason, mine, the one I got, Saul Bettman's music on Larchmont in L.A. Back in 1967. I bought it for like $50. Took it home, plugged it in, this Gretsch guitar. Immediately, the entire room started to vibrate. The guitar started vibrating. I was going, holy shit!
Sign
Too
from
loud,
God.
And I turned it down, and it kept doing it. Turned it all halfway down before it stopped beating back.
Wow.
But I do a lot of things to make the sound more distorted and more, by introducing an octave divider before the amp instead of after it, in conjunction with an analog delay, which is before the octave divider. The routing of these things is real important. What hits first and then is hit by something else. So I have a line of 6 effects, and I can bypass them completely, or I can dip in and grab one and then go without going through the one in front of it. Or I can use all 6 of them, or any combination that I want to use. And I set them up in an order so that they would affect each other a certain way, and that's how I get my sound.
Does someone operate this off stage for you?
It's all done by I have this foot switch. I
Right.
don't know if you've ever seen it, the big red box.
Mhm.
You can imagine the glare if somebody was operating it for you on stage.
No, they'd be dead.
Is
No one else operating.
Are these analog type devices?
Mm-hmm.
Are you impacted by digital stuff? The new do-it-all boxes at all?
No, I have a digital echo that I use because it has a particular sound. It's a gated echo sound. So when I tried it out at the Guitar Center in Hollywood, I was in there and the guy was showing me, the salesman was demoing all these sounds you could get with it, and it sounded like a Phil Collins record, and then it sounded like another kind of record, and it sounded sort of like the background of, what's the girl from New York who sings?
Tracy Chapman?
No, the other one, a
Vega?
couple of years ago. She was some competition for Madonna at some time. She was pretty flowery dresses.
Cindy
Lauper.
Lauper.
No, the
yeah.
guitar player had a certain sound.
Yeah.
That had a certain thing happening. So he's demonstrating all this to me.
Perfect timing.
So then I took it out and I said, well, let me try it for a minute, you know? So I took the thing and I looked at it all. I turned everything all the way up, except for the mix. And then I started playing the guitar really like staccato, you know, and I turned the mix up. And I got, you know, like this gigantic popcorn machine kind of exploding kind of a sound, you know? So I like that sound. And so I use it as an effect when I've gone just about as far as I can go, and I stick that on it and just hit harmonics and choke them, and it just splats out all this ridiculous noise all over everything. Well, that's a good sound, but I don't use it in a real sense to get a sound that it was meant to get.
What are the analog devices that you're most that you use the most? Or
I use an Echoplex, original tube Echoplex.
like Jimmy had?
Probably, if that's what he had. I don't know what he probably had.
Yeah.
An MXR analog delay, neutron octave divider, a Boss flanger. It's this long, it's really a huge thing. And Fender Reverb unit with springs.
One of the old tweed colored ones?
Yeah. No, they weren't tweed, they were Tolex.
Right.
Yeah, the white Tolex. Which with new springs, more springs. Springs are separate. The springs are on the stage. They stand on a microphone. Stand. Stand goes on the floor of the building. On cement. It goes extended up at the bottom of the stage, and the spring stands on top of the microphone stand, and the wire comes through a hole in the stage, completely separate, comes up through, and because if you can't use it if you don't do that, because if you jump on the stage, the springs rattle. So it has to be isolated from the surface of anything that's vibrating.
If you can't do that, do you have something you can substitute?
No, we do it. We just do that. We just put a hole in the stage, whatever. How there's one way to do it. There's always a way to do it. There's cheap places that, you know. And if it can't be done like that, we'll move it farther away. But it can't be very far away because of the length of the wire. You can't go to the spring and come back on a long wire. You lose the fidelity, all of the high end, and that's where reverb lives. So the magic is gone. So you got to keep it close, keep it really short. So I do that.
What do you look for in a guitar? Like if one comes your way and you're thinking about acquiring it, or if you're on a search for something?
Well, there's many different reasons to buy guitars. I'll buy guitars mainly to remember something by.
What do you mean?
Well, if I'm in a place where I'm doing something, I generally, you know, I've forgotten to bring my guitar with me or something. You know. And so if I'm in a place and I'm enjoying it, I will go to the music store and buy a guitar. Try to find an old guitar in that area, buy that, keep that. That'll always remind me of when I was there. And the way it sounds is the way I sounded when I was there, you know, playing it.
Does the instrument have a big impact on the way you phrase or the melodies you might play?
Yes. I mean, you know, if I'm writing, you know, certain, you know, they're all different. Everyone's different. So, you know, I got a D18 that I really like, that I've written a lot of songs on, and I got out of Elliot's office. And I always think of Elliot's office whenever I play it, because that's where I got it. And that was years ago. I used to have a guitar around when people played guitars a lot. We used to have one in the office. So one of the singers or writers or something came in, they could have a guitar to play. So I stole that one and used it.
I've always wondered whatever happened to that guitar. I've never, ever known.
And, there's other reasons to buy guitars. You can buy them because they're classics. And if you're collecting, I collect them, so I'll buy like an Explorer or a Flying V or a Black Falcon or a White Falcon. And just because that's what it is. But I've got those now, so I don't need those anymore. And material things are becoming less and less relevant to me. So I'm not continuing to collect guitars.
Do you have any stuff that's so rare you don't play it?
No, nothing like that. I've got Hank Williams guitar, but I play it all the time.
Really? Would he have an old Martin?
D20, D28.
How did you get that thing?
I bought it from Taylor.
Wow. There was a great songwriter.
Yeah. So I have, like Rusty Kershaw was at my ranch a couple of weeks ago, and we made some recordings with him. It's Ben Keith and Rusty Kershaw and myself. Right. It's really funky swamp stuff. And, we got to a certain point where we'd recorded 5 or 6 things. And then I brought out Hank Williams guitar and said, why don't you play on this one? So it's always great when you have someone who understands what this is, what
Right.
they're holding. The musicians from that era that understand who Hank Williams was and the effect that he's had on all of us are, more sort of awestruck by being in the presence of anything that he touched, to the point to actually play an instrument that he played elevates it to another level. So it's a wonderful thing to have a guitar for that reason, because you can, like when I had Bob Dylan used my bus a couple of years ago for a tour. So I put Hank Williams' guitar in the bus so that he would have this guitar on the bus. The only thing was that I said is, you've got to stay on the bus. So he took good care of it. But a lot of people who should have played it have played it. I'm careful about it.
Have you got other?
I use it all the time. It's not on a wall in a museum. It's still in use.
Do you have other celebrity-owned guitars?
I don't think so.
Do you have your guitars from Buffalo Springfield?
Yeah, I still have every guitar that I ever played.
This music shop in Los Gatos about 12 years ago tried to sell me your White Falcon,
Oh, yeah?
which seemed rather dubious, so I passed.
Good. Wasn't mine. The only one that I played that I don't have still has, because I traded it for something else. And I also have a Gretsch that Jim Messina has. It's like the one I played from Buffalo Springfield, but not the one.
Have you ever played Fenders much?
I got a Broadcaster and a Telecaster and an Esquire and a couple of Stratocasters, but I don't play them that much.
I read somewhere once that one of the main ingredients of your sound was one particular pickup you owned.
Well, there's a very lively Firebird pickup on my Les Paul.
On the black one?
Treble side, yeah. But it wasn't always there. Les Paul I played on Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere. When I did that record, it didn't have that pickup. And that pickup was a wound pickup, and it got a bad hum in it. I took it to a music store to get it rewound, to get them to see if they could do anything with it. Right. To make it so it didn't hum. And I went back to get it. The store was closed and everything was gone. So I never got it back. So I had to replace the pickup. So there have been 2 or 3 pickups in place of the original pickup, and now the one that's there is a Firebird. That I guess it would be a pickup that I used on all the things I played on my black guitar since 1970. Since 1973.
What's the appeal of having a Bigsby, which virtually no one does anymore?
Well, it works. It's expressive. The wang bars they have now are not expressive. They're too tight. You can go way down and come way back up and do these metal licks. You want to do that. Stay in tune.
The dive
big deal.
bombs.
Stay in tune. Great. You already were in tune, It's not a big benefit to stay in tune. I go out of tune every song. But because the thing just doesn't stay in tune. You start doing this, but then if you keep moving it, you never know whether you're in tune. It's like having hand-controlled flanging. And if you have a tape repeater, and if you have an echoplex, and you use just ever so slightly on the big string, then your sound is going up and down like that, but the echo is behind it. So the echo is always following behind it. So it's just like you really have two guitars that are not only two different attacks, but you have one that's in a different pitch than the other, which is a huge sound. It's like active flanging, manual.
We hear that on the record.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you tried like Floyd Rose things? Locking whammies and all that?
No, Bixby's wrong. You know, I got worn into my hand. I can't do anything. It's a Bixby or it's not. It has to be a Bixby. Lonnie Mack. You seen his flying V with the bar on the back that holds the
Oh
Bixby?
yeah, sure have.
What's that Rhino record he has with something about his V, the outrageous V or Killer V, Attack of the Killer V?
Is that Rhino or is that Alligator?
Alligator.
Alligator.
What'd you say?
It's got AIDS.
There was a press conference when Magic Johnson retired. He had AIDS.
No.
Yeah. Did you hear it? Or you just heard on the radio? What did it say? I didn't get AIDS. We're doing a press conference there this afternoon. Is that what they said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In all the British papers, they reported that Miles Davis died of AIDS, but
I heard that.
they didn't do it here. The new NME has a picture of you in it, and they caption it the grizzled godfather of gargantuan feedback.
I don't know what to say.
I saw a film of you sticking the headstock in a toilet bowl in what appeared to be a home studio during some song off Ragged Glory.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
No,
a
it's just Hollywood shit.
oh,
Video.
that wasn't an actual?
No, none of that's real. It's a cinematic trick. But it was a nice toilet.
It was. It
It
had
felt
that
like a
red
the
thing.
toilet
on
with a good visual expression for my sound. I want people to know that that's where I get mine. I had the neck down in there.
it. You did. It's buzzing back. You know, everyone's heard the story like Jimmy Page recording stuff in a bathroom and, you know, putting the mic 12 feet away. Have you ever tried strange stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. I'll try anything.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea. It's the right bathroom, the right kind of tile or whatever. You must have just liked the sound in it. It was very live, obviously.
Yeah.
So you got a big sound doing that for sure.
Yeah. When we played the record, the staff was talking about it. And we were trying to think back to any other players from the 60s who are still capable of getting out there and thrashing the way you did on Weld. And outside of Beck, we couldn't think of anyone still who embodied that kind of spirit.
So what's the story?
Well, that's nice. You know, I think
Yeah, what's the story?
I took that as far as I'm going to take it for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any reason to continue with that thrashing about.
The punk attitude.
No, it's just rock and roll. But it's real rock and roll. That's just all it is. Not punk or anything. I think that the rock and roll is punk. Punk and rock and roll are all the same thing. But what it degenerated from it is what rock and roll is now. It's not rock and roll. It's pop. It's fabricated for the masses. An imitation of shoddy semblance of what it was.
Who would
But
you?
there's still people that play rock and roll, but they call this other music rock. It's Perry Como music compared to real rock and roll. Remember when real rock and roll started? There was real rock and roll, and then that other music that your parents listened to and everything.
Yeah.
It's like rock and roll now is the music that our parents listen to. It's like gone.
We are the
Like
parents.
yeah, we are the parents, and that's it. And that's okay, but that's what it is.
Who would you point to as a modern rock and roll band?
My God, it's so tragic. Oh. Yeah, so
Well, obviously I like Sonic Youth. They're definitely modern rock and roll band. And in my eyes, I'm just one guy with an opinion.
Yeah, sure.
That's the problem with these interviews. Is it tends to take things and put them out of perspective. Like everyone should be able to say on the same page what they think. So when you're there, I always tend to think when I make these statements, I go, wait a minute.
But the good thing is that, some guys who are into you who would never ever listen to Sonic Youth might read that you like them or.
They make some beautiful music. Have you heard Expressway to Your Skull?
Yes.
It's a beautiful song. It's an unbelievable melody. It's so beautiful. It's classic. It's unbelievably just magnificent melody. And to hear it live, especially, it's awesome. Great. They have several songs of that quality. So they're a great band. I think U2 is a good rock and roll band. I don't know what their new record sounds like. I haven't heard it, but their old records sound like good rock and roll. Pretty straightforward, playing in a house, recording.
If you could go back in time and meet any musician, living or dead, who would be among the first ones you'd want to encounter?
Hound Dog Taylor. I'd like
Really?
to meet Hound Dog Taylor.
The guy with 6 fingers.
And Lead Belly, I would like. And Robert Johnson. I'd like to meet Robert Johnson. And I also would like to meet Chopin. Interesting. Beethoven. All in one place.
Yeah, right. Try getting Robert to pick up the check.
Really, he's going to pick up the check.
Robert, it would have been incomprehensible to him that he could have had a million-seller record in the 1980s and 90s.
I don't think Beethoven knew that he was going to be selling as well either.
So did the Van Gogh at the time.
Johnson pulled together all the threads of the music of that time. He was like the human jukebox, it seems.
Mm-hmm. And then you got, of course, we got John Lee Hooker still here. He's pretty outrageous. And, but I go back, I like to go back. People here are still here on the planet, or who I knew when they were on the planet, and I would mention and answer your question because I did meet them already.
Who are the best guitarists you've encountered, the ones who left the biggest impression with you?
Well, for the acoustic guitar, Bert Jansch is the best acoustic guitar player, my favorite. And for the electric guitar, it would be Jimi Hendrix.
I understand you met with Jimmy on some occasion.
Mm-hmm. Long time ago. Wasn't really very memorable. I did meet him a few times. Stills knew him better than I did.
Why does he endure so much?
So good. He was at one with his instrument. No one else had brought the electric guitar to that level. No one else has since.
Wow.
they were like handstands above everybody else. It was completely gone. You know, so liquid and taking feedback and developing this beautiful thing. Just, no, you know, or the guitar freak that I am, he's maxed out. But as much of a great guitar player as he is, or was, Bert Jansch is the same thing for acoustic guitar.
Are there any Jansch records that you like especially well?
The first ones, the very first record that he made.
Is that with Angie
Great
on it?
record. I think it was on. And then he remade that record, different versions of the same songs for someone else. I don't know. I got this record. Came from England, and I heard it. And I was particularly impressed by a song called "The Needle of Death." It's a really outrageous song. Beautiful song. And this guy was just so good. He was, you know, I don't know what he's doing now, and then years later, I wrote Ambulance Blues for On the Beach album in 1974 or 3, somewhere around there. And I picked up the melody from his record, the guitar part, exactly. And without realizing that I had completely copied the whole thing. And then years later, someone mentioned it to me, and I went back and heard him playing it. And sure enough, it's almost like note for note copy of his thing. I mean, I wrote whole new lyrics on top, but it's his thing. I mean, you know, and he was great. And I listened to myself play, and I listened to him play. No, I played it terrible.
Have you ever met him?
No, I think I did meet him once when I went to England in the early '70s. I really wanted to meet him, so I went and got together with Pentangle.
Oh, John Renborn's band.
Yeah, but they were, you know, I had a big limo and everything because I didn't know where I was going. I just knew the address, and we had a limo, and I went over there. They kind of had an attitude about me, you know, like that I was a pop superstar. Kind of got the feeling. But you know, I don't understand it. But on the other hand, I do understand it. So
That's interesting. I read in I heard this interview tape that Warner Brothers shopped around where you were talking about recording Ragged Glory, and you talked about cutting live in the studio as being a photograph versus painting a picture.
mm-hmm.
Have you settled into that way of thinking?
That's been the way I've been for a long time. That's what I like to do. It's faster. And let other people take the songs and make records of it. If someone wants to record my songs, they can record it. They can make records of it. I just want to sing them and play them and record the event of that happening the best I can with the moment that I did it, where I felt the best about it, and move on.
Have you ever written a song on acoustic that like transformed into a heavy rock song? Like, was any of the stuff on Weld done acoustically first?
Out of the Blue was written on acoustic.
Where was that written?
On the road, yeah.
What
On my living room.
did it come quickly?
Mm-hmm.
What inspired it?
I don't even remember. Well, I guess, you know, Elvis died, and I was thinking about that. It was like almost a year after that, I guess. I was one of them.
I thought maybe it might have been the passing of Johnny Rotten or something.
But he didn't. No, he was still alive. Isn't he still alive? No. No, Sid Vicious died.
Right.
Johnny Johnny Rotten was still there. Public Image Limited. What's his name?
Yeah, John Light.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Still
right.
around. Yeah.
Did you go see those punk bands in the 70s?
No. Never saw him. Just heard about him. Saw him on TV. Saw the effect that they had on people. Read the stories of what they did. Did you put a bunch of sugar in it?
Yeah, I did. Two.
I'll put it one.
One level one. That's sugar free. Go ahead. You can drink both of them.
I put 5 in mine.
We did too.
In this age of guys going to college to learn how to play guitar and learning every scale
Paints a pretty dim picture of the future, doesn't it?
and learning all these scales and sight reading and all that, what would you advise? What would you want musicians to learn from someone like you?
Well, first of all, it doesn't matter if you can play a scale. It doesn't matter if your technique is good. I mean, you know, if you have a feel, if you have feelings that you want to get out through music, that's what matters. If you have the ability to express yourself and you feel good when you do it, then that's why you should do it. The technical side of it is a complete boring drag as far as I'm concerned.
Have you ever
I
seen
mean, I can't play fast. I don't play fast. I don't even know the scales. I really don't. A lot of the notes that I go for are notes that I know aren't there. They're just not there. So you can hit any note. I'm just on another level as far as all that goes. I appreciate these guys who play great.
Yeah.
I'm impressed by these metal bands, those scale guys. I'm impressed. You know, like I go, gee, that's really something. I really.
Steve Vai impersonation.
No, I already did that. That's okay. I mean, these guys are good guys. And you got, what's his name, the local guy here? Satriani. I mean, these guys are geniuses. And Eddie Van Halen. They're genius guitar players. They're unbelievable musicians of the highest caliber. I can relate to it.
Do you always
One note is enough.
Cinnamon Girl, the one note solo, the right
Oh,
note.
yeah. 2 strings, though. Same note on 2 strings.
You two learned
And the
that
wang bar,
lesson.
see? The wang bar made everyone sound different. They were all different. To me, that's like, when people say one note solo, I listen to it. Everyone sounds different.
Right.
They really do. It sounds like it's all different in that one place. Going in farther and seeing all the differences, but if you get back, it's all one. So I think I think that every note is different on Cinnamon Girl.
That's a great answer. That song's remained remarkably true to the original, at least the version I heard this morning.
Yeah,
On Weld.
yeah, it is. I think it is. We tried to do our best. We put a little Norwegian word on the end of it that one night.
Yeah, we cut that.
That was the only night we did that.
Really?
You know, where it was Norwegian wood.
What do you look for in a solo? You know, like when you're going over different takes of a song to put on the record. What's your criteria?
Elevation. It just, you can feel it. That's all I'm looking for. You can tell I don't care about bad notes,
Yeah, right.
right? I don't care about that.
You've always been more about feel than technique
Yeah,
or
so
perfection.
I listen for the whole band on my solos. It's a solo, you can call it a solo because that's a good way to describe it. But really what it is an instrumental. It's a whole band that's playing. Billy Talbot, a massive bass player,
Right.
only plays 2-3 notes. People are still trying to figure out whether it's because he only knows 2 or 3
That's
or whether
funny.
they're the only notes he wants to play. But when he hits a note, that note speaks for itself. It's a big motherfucking note. It's big. Even the soft one is big.
What's the appeal of working with Frank?
Frank uses the biggest strings of any guitar player I've ever seen. Frank is probably even more of a crude player than I am. You know, he plays rhythm.
Yeah.
And then, but he plays string so big. It's 55 on the bottom. You know, big wound third, 12 on the E string. You know, I mean, we're talking big strings. They're as big as you can get.
Baling wire.
Yeah. And, you know, he hits a note. And I said, no, big note. I hit a note. It's like here today, going, where's it going? What's happening? Stuff, you know. He hits a note or Billy hits a note. That's where Crazy Horse is. Without Crazy Horse playing so big, my son is normal. But they make it possible. They supply the big so I can float and move around. And I sound huge playing the thing.
Yeah.
Because the big is them.
Yeah. Do you think jamming's becoming kind of a lost art?
I don't know. I haven't seen any jams lately.
Yeah. I mean, I see hundreds of concerts.
Well, you see all these concerts.
Yeah, and it's like you're
What's
you're
happening?
hearing the record.
Yeah, I know. It's disgusting, isn't it?
You once
Welcome to the 90s.
you referenced jamming as being akin to an orgasm.
Well, yeah. I think it is.
One sugar.
That's why a lot of my instrumentals are too short.
That's sick. On record, it sounds like you have a really wild vibrato. I think of you as being like what Buddy Guy is to blues, you are to rock in a way.
You mean on my guitar vibrato?
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
then I realized some of that must be the Bigsby too.
It's all the Bigsby. I don't use tremolo. I don't use a tremolo. Every once in a while, I use a magnetone stereo vibrato effect. And I have used, on certain recordings, a vibrato effect. But during my playing all the time, you hear what you hear, that's the Bigsby.
What about when you do a manual vibrato, like with your left hand? Do you tend to bend with?
You mean that?
Yeah. Which fingers do you use for it?
This one.
The ring finger? Some guys say,
Sometimes this one.
will you back up a bend with the other fingers?
No, I don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
My strings are too little. I don't have to do that.
What are the strings?
I don't know.
Slinkies like?
Oh, there's yeah, it's sort of like Slinkies. They're GTRs. And then Larry probably changed, I think on the last tour, he even made them better than GTRs.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what he did. He said, try this.
Can you play in any styles that might surprise people who are only familiar with you through the records? And do you ever play bottleneck blues or?
No, I can't
No.
play a bottleneck. I never have.
Hmm.
I don't play, no, I think what I play is what you hear, you know.
Do you ever feel that your playing's reaching a new level?
I thought it reached a new level on Arc, no, on Weld.
Art could be seen as a pretty daring thing to do.
I don't think so. I think it's a logical extension of rock and roll the way it is today. If you want to go the other way, you know, go past Sonic Youth and past just art over there. I believe it's always been there. Feedback thing, always been.
Right.
So it's always been temptation to go that way. It's like jazz. It's rock. It's the jazz of rock and roll. That'll be,
Coltrane with feedback.
you know, maybe Coltrane is a big influence on me. I love a lot of his things. Equinox and my favorite things are doing with McCoy Tyner. Those are my favorite of his music.
What are the records that you couldn't live without?
That I couldn't live without.
Yeah.
So I don't listen to records.
You don't?
I don't listen to anyone. I only listen to what's going on that other people put on. So I don't want to make the decision of what to listen to. I really don't listen.
You're not a
Listen
record.
to what's going on in the world, what people like, because I hear it coming out of the car radio, or I hear it coming out of the, jukebox. If I walk up to a jukebox, I can play
Yeah.
things. I like to listen to. B.B. King, a Ray Charles thing, old country thing, but it's mostly just for rehabilitation purposes or something.
What would you most like to change about what we call rock in the 90s?
Format that it's produced in.
Could you explain that?
Digital CDs.
You don't like them?
I hate them.
Why?
Well, because I'll tell you this. I told someone else this earlier. See if I get it right. Digital is a disaster. It's like this is the darkest age of musical sound since sound was captivated. When they started putting it on the capturing it on the records a long time ago, the 78s, that was pretty shaky. And then they got it a little better. From that point on, right up to the beginning of digital, everything that was done is better than digital. And digital is a huge ripoff. It's completely premature to be. All of the music that has been recorded in the 80s and the 90s through digital means, any way that it has gone digital will be looked back on in another 10 or 15 years as what a shame that all this music was recorded this way. We'll never get to hear it the way it really was.
You don't think it captures the sound accurately?
It doesn't at all. It's a complete farce. It's completely wrong. I mean, it's digital has to be taken 3 or 4 levels higher. Sampling rates have to quadruple at least. I mean, it has to go way out the window to get to where analog was. Digital music has a very limited therapeutic effect, if any, whereas real music has incredible effect of therapy, calming the nerves, everything. Any therapeutic application of sound has to be analog or it won't get results. You cannot use it the other way. You can search around. It's not there. Sound isn't there. I mean, I can use this window as an illustration. When you look out here through the glass, you see all this. Imagine that's sound out there. Okay. And then look out there, look through the screens, you see the little squares in the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you look through there, and you'll see that while you're inside those screen holes, if you get right up on it, there's all kinds of different colors and everything that are going through. That has to be averaged out to one thing.
Right.
For digital. That's all you get, the dominant one.
A 1 or a 0.
Yeah, that's it. Now, take a step back farther, and this is what real digital is. This and this, okay? Whatever the dominant color is here.
Yeah.
If you were back at the other end of the restaurant and this whole wall was made out of windows like this, that'd be like a digital picture of music. So what you see through this whole window here is reduced to the dominant shade. So in music, on the bottom, when you have the slow frequencies moving back and forth and everything, things move real slowly. So it may be just a big dark picture, of this big rumbling thing. But when you get in the high end, it's the cosmos. It's a universe of possibilities. The echo, the air, all of those things. And you take 1 million possibilities for sound and reduce it to the dominant one and make them all that. And they've got it, the sampling enough now so that when you first start listening, hey, that's music, but your brain and your heart are starved. They're starved for a challenge. There's no challenge. There's no possibilities. There's no imagination. You're hearing a simulated music. You're not hearing real music. It's not doing what, your brain's capable of taking on an incredible amount of information. And the beauty of music, it's like water washing over you. But digital is like ice cubes washing over you.
What do you think?
It's not the same.
What do you think when you hear like Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere or Decade or something on CD?
Well, I think it's not as good as the original. That's why I'm So, they got to be remastered every time there's an improvement from the analog originals. And the improvement is not going to be great for a long time because the technology is just not there for that kind of a sampling rate. And it's a real shame because music is just not being captured. It's being made. People are still making great music, especially the acoustic musicians that are still playing real music and performing it. It's even more important when I'm talking about to a musician like myself that it not be digital. I mean, I've been making records for 26 years, working in the studio, writing songs, listening to music. And I'm telling you that this is from the early 80s up till now, and probably for another 10, 15 years, is the darkest time for recorded music ever. Because we'll come out the other end of it and it'll be okay. But we'll look back on this period now and go, wow, that was the digital age and we can't really hear it. That's what people will say, mark my words. 30 years, another 20 years from now, they'll be looking back on it going, wow, I wonder what it really sounded like. They were so carried away that they didn't really record it. They just made digital records.
What would you like to hear happen with guitar playing in the future?
I'd just like to hear a guitar. See, I don't like to listen to the CDs or records anymore because they're all made digitally.
Yeah.
So, I'll listen to it a little bit, but it doesn't give me the joy that the earlier recordings did. Not because of the music, but because of the recording.
Right.
Type of recording. And so I would like to hear guitars again on record. With the warmth, and the highs, the lows, the air, the electricity, the vibrancy of something that's real, instead of a duplication of the dominant factors of that. It's an insult.
Yeah.
It's an insult to the brain, to the heart, to the feelings, to have to listen to this and think that it's music. I mean, you must admit that there's a certain emptiness in the air. When you listen to it, you think it might be today's music just isn't as heartfelt as yesterday's. Or the 60s or 70s and way beyond. In the past, you think, what happened to music? Business came in and took over and they ruined it. That's the excuse everybody makes. But the real reason is it's technical. It's not that people don't have souls anymore. All these bands have got huge souls. They can't wait to play. They just don't know why they can't sound as good as some things that they used to hear. And now they never heard it. Because it's all digital and they go out and buy it and it's a digital copy of the original. They never even heard the original. So they don't know what to compare it to except, it sounds like a record now because it's digital and that's the way records sound. They don't realize they don't have to sound sterile. They don't have to sound one-dimensional. It's a big, big concern. It's a massive concern with all the creativity of this whole decade and probably the next decade and definitely the last decade. Is all sacrificed to this poor technology.
Are you keeping your stuff on analog for that reason?
Can't. I'm digital. Once you go digital, you're digital. So there's no sense in keeping any analog track of it. Too complicated to record both things. It's too complicated. I'd have to make every record twice. I have to mix it, overdub, the whole thing. You can't do it. See?
Yeah.
It's much easier to work in digital because of the control factor.
Sure.
I go DDD. Everything's DDD with me.
Right.
Because that's the medium I'm given. It's got to come out on CD. They want a digital copy to make analog cassettes on them.
That's weird.
It's wrong, and it's dead wrong.
If a child that you were close to told you that they wanted to become a professional musician or a professional guitar player, what sort of course of learning would you suggest to them?
Start playing.
Do you think it's important to know the names of your chords or?
Oh yeah, they'll learn that eventually. Play with other people. Learn a few chords and start playing with somebody else who may be a little better than you are. Don't learn from a book any more than you have to. Learn from other people. That's what music's all about. Pick up things from other people. Just keep creating, even if it's all shit. Just keep creating. Pretty soon it'll be great.
Are there any things you would have done differently in your career as a musician? Had you known?
No.
You're lucky.
No. I've learned that even if you wanted to do it better, you could. Even if you wanted to improve on something. When you go back in and improve one area of it, but you lose everything else that was great about it. When you do
Yeah.
There's no way. You can't go back.
How would you like to be remembered as?
No, I don't care. Whatever happens, everybody will have their own opinion.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell anybody what to think.
You think you owe something to your audience?
Well, you know, my life. It's just, without my audience, who would I be playing for? Just myself. I have a one job that would be great. It's all, I owe a lot to my audience. I'm not beholden to, I don't actually have to send them something.
Yeah.
Maybe another record, if they like it.
The next record I heard was going to be an acoustic guitar record.
It's acoustic with a band.
Different band.
Stray Gators, and the band I did Harvest with, Kenny Buttry, Tim Drummond, Ben Keith, Spooner Oldham on piano instead of Jack Meach.
That must bring quite a lot of life to your music, working with different bands all
Oh,
the
I
time.
love it. That's what
You
keeps
know.
me going. Keep stirring the pot, put myself in a different situation. I don't ever try to tie myself into one group of people because it stifles the music.
I don't want to use up all your time here, so
I don't know. I think I have other interviews to do. I think somebody's out there.
where can I send copies of the issue to?
I'll give you my address.
Since our 1991 interview, Neil Young has released dozens of albums under his own name. He's appeared on several others with Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. He's been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as both a solo artist and as a member of Buffalo Springfield. He remains musically vital to this day. Long may he run. Before signing off, I want to thank my engineer and producer, Nick Hunt, the staff of the University of North Carolina Southern Folklife Collection, and especially my subscribers for helping to make these podcasts possible. This is copyright 2023 by Jazz Obrecht, all rights reserved. See you next time.